I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I was working in the field of banking for 15 years. I moved to Spain maybe 4 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, and I had to transition, find a new career. And I fell into education and I'm really loving it. So my job right now at St. Peter's is I am a business management teacher, but I also teach teenagers ages 12 to 18. And in addition to business management, I'm an advocate, I promote, and most importantly, I execute the Futures Thinking program. So we started about a year ago. It was just a concept, an idea. Started off with little experimentations in our classroom. And then now we're but we will create a new course in the coming year. So I'll share pretty much the journey that we've gone through with you guys. Perfect. So this is just a little bit of background and our journey into creating the new Futures course that's going to be launching next school year, year 2023-2024. So the next slide. So back in May 22, this was a recommendation that you guys should really be teaching the future, and we really had no idea how. So what we did as a school is there was an open call email to form a futures committee. And we would meet once a week. And from there, we explored and played with different foresight tools so that me and other teachers can get comfortable with the idea, okay, what is futures thinking all about? What is its foresight tools? And try to find ways how we can use these tools into our classroom. So that was May 2022. And the next slide. And then Peter came back in October 22. This is the first time I met the Teach the Future team, where Peter, you talked about the concept of change, and there was about maybe 20 teachers that participated. And the next slide. And then as a faculty, or I guess like community, we also wanted to get training and development. We went to Trento to try to understand and deepen our understanding and knowledge of future studies. So this was our experience in Trento. And the idea is from the Teach the Future meeting in Trento is now to create a game plan on how to deploy futures thinking into our classrooms. So now I'm going to share with you how myself and other teachers basically deployed and executed this particular project. So we started off before everybody went for Christmas break. All the staff was invited to participate in a futures literacy lab. It was important that everybody experiences it this way, that we know how students feel. And from this lab, we got a lot of good feedback. There was a lot of discussions. And in this case, everybody in the school had an idea, okay, what is futures literacy? What is foresight? What is forecasting? What's the difference? And it allowed us to introduce various tools to different teachers. Next slide. Okay, and then now, here are some of the projects that the students have created this past school year. Keep in mind that we didn't have a specific course dedicated to futures, but what we did is, if there was an opportunity to integrate futures thinking into the curriculum, we found the opportunity to do so. So this is with year 6, they are 11 and 12. We did a project called the Futures Bazaar, which I'm sure some of you guys did. And this was a unit that they were studying about artificial intelligence. So this is what year 6 has came up with. Next slide. This is a year 9 class where we use the Thing of a Future game, and they created stories and narratives. So ages 14 to 15. Next slide. Same thing. The Thing of the Future was used, but ages 9 to 10 with year 4 at the primary level with a primary teacher. And this is introducing different foresight tools. So steep the futures wheel into an English class. Okay, and then this was with year 9 as well, where they're studying concepts of signals of change, which consumer trend canvas. So this is actually in my class. I was teaching business, so I had to think of a way, okay, how can I featureize business in a future stated form? So I injected this particular unit in my business class. Again, the Futures Bazaar. And next slide. Next slide. And this one is our diploma program students, which are the pre-university students. They were invited to compete in a debate, which is the future of biotechnology. We thought futures thinking, futures tools would be a good way to integrate and perhaps help them come up with consequences. So we introduced the concept of the futures wheel. Okay, and this is one of the presentations of the students during the conference, and this was their academic debate topic. So it's the rapid progress of, I think, biotechnology good for society. And these are different groups utilizing futures wheel. And then they were able to compare all the consequences that they came up with. And this one's quite interesting, is an English teacher. Year 7 students finished a book called Private Peaceful. So what he did is, after reading this particular book, he created a futures literacy class about war. And how can they talk about war in the classroom, create debate and discussions? Okay, and this is one of his posts into our internal site, that year 7 has undergone their first future literacy workshop. This was back in December. They were studying this particular novel, and then they looked at it from this perspective. And then they also made an adaptation to the futures wheel, where they explored consequences from an individual level, community level, and a global level during their discussions. And then the very last, this was just a few weeks ago, we did a TED Talks program for St. Peter's, and one of the students decided to talk about the future. So that's the very latest in terms of student work. And then as for next year, really what we wanted to do was make sure that the futures is a concept, because we are following the IB curriculum. So we needed to follow some kind of structure and follow our teaching based on IB guidance. And then we're using futures thinking, futures tool as a process. And hopefully at the end is that we're able to build students that are future literate. Next slide. So here's an example of a concept. Our concept is futures. And we always have a point of inquiry. We introduce a 4th question into our unit called What If? This is just to open up dialogue to imaginative or speculative thinking. Here's an example of a what if question that would guide student discussions. And this is what we mean by a process, by really experimenting with various future tools. And at the last, we have the IB profile, which is basically the skill set and attributes that we want students to have as IB graduates. But in addition to this is to include futures literacy at the end. Okay, so that's pretty much our progress the whole year. That's the activities that's been happening. So for next year, what we've done is we created an actual course that is built into the timetable for year 8 and year 9. And just to give you guys a simplified overview, it's going to be comprised of 5 modules. We had a course before called Exponentials. The feedback we got from that course was maybe it was a bit technocentric, because the course was really about exploring emerging technologies. We're keeping that course, but what we did is we made a revision and made it the new features course, but then we created it, made it more balanced. So for instance, module 1, we're going to be introducing future studies. So we're going to talk about futures codes, signals of change, trends. Module 2, we're going to keep the same content from the exponentials course, whether it's blockchain, AI, new societies. We're going to explore perhaps smart cities or the future of work. Smart planet, we're going to talk about climate response. And then the fifth would be more speculative design, world building, and such. So that's kind of, I guess, the content for next school year.